Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel all about cross stitching. My name is Rosanna, and you can find me both here on YouTube and on Instagram as brightanddusty. I believe this is my 22nd Flosstube episode, and today I have a few finishes to share, a few whips, and then I have a special Paula Vaughans segment where I'm going to show all of my thrifted Paula Vaughans finishes, and there are 7 because in the last year and a half I have stumbled upon 7 separate Paula Vaughans finishes, and I don't know if you've heard, but the long anticipated Paula Vaughans Stitchalong has been announced by Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe and Jen from Jen's Fiberweb here on YouTube. And the Stitchalong, actually I think it's a start along, the Paula Vaughans start along, which is called the hashtag Paula Vaughans along, is starting on July 1st. Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe actually did a whole parade of Paula Vaughans patterns for inspiration. That was within the last couple of days, and I'm excited. I plan to participate. I have a few patterns I've narrowed it down to that I might start, and I figured why not show all of my thrifted Paula Vaughans finishes at once? Because what better way to be inspired than to actually see the finished stitch. So that'll be later on in the video. Please stick around for that if you just want to see them, or if you're thinking about participating in the SAL and you want some inspiration. Okay. Why don't I just start off with my finishes? So I have a couple of pillows. This is called the Bug Quaker by Cross Stitch the Globe. Stephanie had designed this for the Cupid Collective back in February. I don't think the pattern is has a general release yet. I'm sure it will at some point. But this turned out really, really cute. I dyed this fabric myself. This was actually a linen napkin that I had thrifted like in a set of napkins. I dyed it and then I stitched it 1/2. And coincidentally, I had the perfect backing fabric for this. So I had this VW bug fabric, just quilting cotton, and it had a lot of different bugs on it. I picked the one that said love because the name of the pattern is the Bug Quaker, so that just seemed perfect. I think technically this is my first finish of anything in a Quaker style, so that's kind of exciting. I have a few other Quaker style stuff as whips, but I don't think I've ever actually finished one yet until now. So this just turned into the cutest little pillow, and that was a really fun pattern to work on. This other pillow, I had shown in my last Flosstube that I had received some Stitchy Kindness. There were a few like loose cross-stitch finishes in that package. This was one of them, and I decided to turn it into a pillow. It turned out very cute. It was a little tricky for me to maneuver into a pillow. There was some pretty stiff interfacing on it, and then the Ada itself was pretty stiff, so but I think I managed it okay. It looks pretty good. And yeah, I just managed not to cut off the cat or anything down here. Everything ended up fitting. And yeah, it's beautiful. And then for the back, I had this velveteen. I've decided I'm probably not going to use velveteen again if I can help it. It's just kind of hard to work with my sewing machine. So I will be excited to add these pillows to my pillow shelf, which is over here. It's actually getting pretty full, so I might have to get another pillow shelf somewhere else in the house. Okay, so those were the pillows, and now I have a bigger finish. This is Gathering Eggs by Mirabilia. So I had started this on February 10th for the Gathering Eggs Sal that Katie from Red Stitchery came up with. And yeah, I just kind of ran with it. I really was not expecting to finish this in such a short time frame. I didn't really have plans for it to be a priority. But this fabric just ended up being so easy. It was really soft. It's a 28 count Lugana, I think. And it was just like, I don't know, I was able to just stitch it, for me, stitch it pretty fast because the fabric wasn't like resisting my needle or anything like that. So yeah, I just decided to keep going with it. I got really excited because I was like, wow, this is going to be my first Mirabilia finish ever. I have a couple others as whips. And I had sort of planned to pull them out for Mirame as well, but that didn't end up happening because I just wanted to get this done. So this is what I did for Mirame, is I just decided to finish it. And I think I have a frame that's going to work. I have to check the measurement again. I think it's going to work. So hopefully by next video, this will be framed. And yeah, if you're intimidated by Mirabilia, I would say this is a really good one to start off with because it's not huge. There's not a lot of like special things. There's a little bit of beading. There's a really small area of like metallic thread. And then there's these like Lazy Daisy specialty stitches. But that's it. And the back stitching really isn't that bad either. And the other thing is, if this is the type of thing that is important to you, if you get this in the magazine, April 1998 Cross Stitch and Needlework magazine, the pattern is in color. So most of the time, you know, Mirabilia is going to be a black and white pattern. But if you get the magazine, it's in color. You can scan it and blow it up, which is what I did, and it was just really, really easy. So she's beautiful. I love it. It's gonna look so good on the wall. And yeah, I didn't really run into any trouble with it either. There wasn't like any part I had to frog or like any part of the pattern that was confusing or difficult. It was just very like straightforward and very well designed. So I loved it. Katie from Red Stitchery has announced another Sal which is going to be any Marilyn Levitt Emblem pattern. And that's beginning June 20th. I'm thinking of participating, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, if you have Lavender and Lace, Butternut Road, Toll in a Garden, if you have any of those patterns, and you want to participate, I would encourage you to go check out Katie's, I don't know if it was her most recent video or maybe the one before, but she does talk about it. And then, okay, so this isn't really a finish, but it's one of the Stitch for Pride installments I was able to get done. So it's sort of a mini finish. So this is the April installment of Stitch for Pride 2025 by DeesTwentyStitches. Ozawindib. I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing that right, but it turned out beautiful. Yeah, if you're curious, the thread I'm using, or that I used for that, it's a variegated DMC, and it's number 111. So it's this like mustard yellow, variegated with some browns. It's really pretty. So this is 18 count navy Ada that I'm using one strand. I love how it's looking. It's turning out beautiful. And I would like to make some more progress on some of the other months. And now that I am, I think about 3 months behind, I'll be able to figure out my layout better. Because I screwed up the layout, but I think it's going to be fine. Okay, so that was the conclusion of like my finish section. Let me get into whips. I actually don't have that many whips because for the most part, you know, I was working on this, but I do have a few. So one of them is the Garden Hummingbird by Bucilla. Here is what it looks like. Yeah, Bucilla Heirloom Collection Garden Hummingbird. This is the one I chose for Andrew the Runner Stitcher's Whip into Shape Sal. And I was doing a pretty good job of keeping caught up with that until the past week. I'm just going to say I skipped a week because I wanted to finish gathering eggs. But I'm planning to get back on track this coming week. So let me pop in a picture of where it was when I started the Whip into Shape challenge. So here it is. This was probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point. And here is where I am now. So I am making good progress. Yeah, I chose to just kind of come down here into the greenery because they're all full crosses. And it's like more straightforward. I think I mentioned last time that the gazebo and a lot of other parts of this pattern have like a lot of quarter stitches. So it's a little bit more complicated, and I just decided I'm gonna get some ground covered with the full crosses, and then I'll deal with all the fractionals later. But it's looking really pretty. So the Whip into Shape Sal has been really fun because it's not the same exact thing every week. You look at Andrew's spreadsheet and he will put like all the miles that he's run, all the time that he's spent running, and that way you can multiply it by however many stitches you want to do, you know, either per mile or per hour or whatever. So it's really fun because it kind of keeps you on your toes, and makes it a little more interesting to know like, oh, I have to reach a certain total for this week, and then next week is going to be a little bit different. So I've really been enjoying that, and yeah, this week I plan to get back on track. So that's exciting. Yeah, I'm not using the kit fabric. I switched it to a 32 count Jobelin. Okay, here's a whip you haven't seen in a long time. This is called the SamSarah Mystery Sampler. This came out in 3 parts back in 2014. You do have to have all 3 parts of the pattern to stitch this, which makes it hard to find this. However, I was just randomly watching Flosstube one day and I came across Mega Stitches, and I was shocked to see that Mega Stitches is also stitching this because I hadn't seen anyone else on Flosstube who was doing this. So I got really excited and I decided I was going to take it out. And yeah, I've just made a lot of progress in the moon. I am using this as like a fill-in in the evenings when I watch TV with Andrew. So ideally, I might be able to get this moon done in the next like week or 2, I would think. And I just pulled a lot of overdyed floss from Stash and a lot of DMCs from Stash to kind of like make it look as close as I can to the model. But this will be so cute when it's done. I just love it. So this is a 32 count petite point Zweigart, and I'm using 2 strands. Yeah, I like this fabric. The thing is, you can see the spots through the floss because the floss is kind of a lighter color. However, if you look at the model, if you look really closely, you can see the spots in the model as well. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm like, whatever. I still think it's gonna be beautiful when it's done. And my third whip here is the Extraordinary Birds. I didn't take it out of the hoop because you can see all the areas I worked was just on the bottom. This is the Stitchalong by Lola Crow Cross Stitch. We're getting installments every week with a couple of breaks between now and August. And it's been fun. I am trying my best to keep up with it. I've started this week's installment. I haven't finished it yet, but I am caught up with the past 2 weeks, except for the backstitching. And I think I might just save the backstitching for one of those weeks where we have a break and just catch up on the backstitching then. But this is a 32 count MCG Textiles linen that I dye myself, and I love how it looks. I think this is my last work in progress. It is The Girl with Ducklings by Riolis. And now I'm not sure where I put it. I found it. Okay, so Girl with Ducklings looks like this. This is a Riolis kit with wool acrylic threads. I'm only doing the ducks. So I'm using everything kit, the kit fabric, the kit floss for this. It's a 14 count Aida. And I am ready for this to be done. The more I work on it, the less I am enjoying the acrylic threads. I think the colors of them are nice. I do not think the stitches lay very evenly. So I think this will be really cute. I'm probably going to turn it into a pillow. And from a distance, you know, the colors really pop. It looks very pretty. But when you're looking at it up close, it's like, I just don't like the way my stitches are looking. So yeah, I'm just going to probably try to fill in background a little bit every day for the next like 2 weeks, and then this will be done. Because really, I just have background to fill in behind the ducks. This duck I had moved because in the original it's up here. I just like moved it down here, but that means now I'm just kind of like improvising the background, which is fine. It's just like browns and greens and beige. I think it'll look nice. It doesn't have to be exact. But yeah, I'm definitely ready for this to be over. Also, just because, like, you know, how many ducks have I stitched at this point? Like 8? It's like, I'm a little bored. All the same colors and just like, oh, it's another duck. Woohoo! But it's been an interesting experience. I'm glad that I know now that I just do not really like the wool acrylic threads. And that's just a personal preference. I know that there are a lot of people who really like them. But they're just not for me, I don't think. Okay, so that was the end of my works in progress. Now I have 2 new starts I'm going to talk about. So I got this kit off of eBay a few months ago. It's called Dreaming of Tuskany. You've probably seen this. This is still readily available. It's a Gold Collection Petite by Dimensions. I absolutely love the way this looks. It's so pretty. Yeah, Andrew and I live in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, which is basically like wine country in the middle of nowhere, you know, rural America. But we have a winery that looks very similar to this. It's called Ventosa Vineyards. If you ever get an opportunity to travel to this part of the world, it's a very beautiful vineyard. Just a nice place to visit. But yeah, this really reminds me of that. So that's kind of why I was drawn to it, and I got it for a really good price on eBay. So I have a very small start. Well, I thought I brought a little board out here, but now I can't find it. I don't think it matters that much. Yeah, it's just the middle. So it's the view through that window or arch. I am not using the kit fabric. The kit fabric wasn't, I think it was like a 16 count Aida. I switched it to 32 count wish shell that I just had in my stash. But I am really enjoying the wish shell. I'll tell you why. These Dimensions kits have a lot of half stitches. And I find that if my fabric is kind of loose, the half stitches, they don't really keep their shape. They kind of like, they move around. The tension of them is a little bit too loose because you don't have the full cross to anchor it. But with the wish shell, because it's a little stiffer, I think that is resolving the problem with the half crosses or the half stitches, you know? So I think that was a good choice. I'm happy with it. I've seen several people who have finished this on Flosstube. I think Katie actually did from Red Stitchery. And then I think I saw at least one other person who had finished it. So, looking forward to getting more progress on that. The other new start is, okay, so you may have heard of this, the Strawberry Moon Sal. I believe it's hashtag Strawberry Moon Sal on Instagram, which was begun by Marjorie Made Stitches on YouTube and Instagram. I know that it happened last year. I didn't participate last year, so I decided I want to participate this year. The pattern that I picked, so basically the deal is you just choose any pattern that features strawberries one way or another. So let me show you the one that I picked. This is called the Sweet Tooth Dragon. You can buy this as a digital download from My Bobbin. And I was under the impression that My Bobbin like only sold kits, but that is incorrect. They also sell a lot of digital patterns, especially by like Eastern European designers, overseas designers. And it was super easy. This was only maybe like $8 or something. And yeah, I was just able to download it immediately. I don't remember the name of the designer, but I will put it in the drop-down box. And then I'll try to link it to My Bobbin if you're interested in this. But I just think it's like so adorable. Okay, so I got a really, really small start on that just like last night. I'm just starting in the center. You can see a little bit of like the leaves, and here's the beginning of one of the strawberries. Yeah, this is a 14 count Aida. You can see it's dyed. I had found it at a thrift store. It had some stitching in it, which I actually did take the time to frog it out. Because I like the color of this. And yeah, unfortunately the stitching was right in the middle, so I couldn't just cut it off. So I frogged it. And now I'm going to use it for the Sweet Tooth Dragon. And that pattern has some blended threads. It has like very, very minimal fractional stitches. I think like basically just like in the dragon's eye or something, like nothing major. Mostly it's just full cross, as far as I can tell. So yeah, it seems like the pattern is put together well. So far I'm enjoying it, and I really like the colors. All right, I did bring out a couple things to give away, so why don't I show those quick before I get into my like Paula Vaughn parade thing. So this one I can give away because I finished it. Moose Welcome by Imaginating. This is just paper. So like I could fold this up and mail it anywhere. So this one only is open to either US or international. If you're interested, I'm gonna do the Helen D thing where you just like put a number instead of a word, because I think that might just make things a little bit easier. So if you are interested in this, please just put the number 1 in your comment, like the numeral 1. And I'll announce a winner next Flosstube. So yeah, that one is open US or international. And then I have a couple of books because these are duplicates of ones that I already have. So I can only mail these in the US. United States only. This is Oh Christmas Tree by, it's a Leisure Arts book. It's hardcover, it's really nice. There are some really cute patterns in here, like look at these stand-ups. Yeah, there's a lot of different ornaments and stuff. There's even like a patriotic Santa. So if you live in the United States and you're interested in this, please use the number 2 in your comment, numeral 2. And then this is the last one. It's also a book, hardcover, so only United States. It's called A Cross Stitch Christmas, Better Homes and Gardens. Yeah. Yeah, these are nice books. I have a bunch of these. And yeah, they're just beautiful books. So please use the number 3 if you're interested in that one. Please be over the age of 18 so that you can give me your mailing address. And don't use any trigger words like giveaway, free, or win in your comment so we don't attract any trolls. All right, so that's the giveaway for next time. Now why don't I do my Paula Vaughans Save the Stitch. But I think I'm gonna take a little break and just reorganize a little, and you know, it'll just be a second for you, but hold on. All right, to start off the Paula Vaughans thrifted finish parade, I will do the smaller ones first. So this one is, I wrote it down up here. This is from the Leisure Arts leaflet Summers Remembered, number 392. So they did a really nice circle finish with this. Lots of beautiful details in here with the quilt, the basket. And then I think I found this at the same time, and it's the same finishing style, so I'm pretty sure stitched by the same person. And it's actually from the same leaflet, Summers Remembered. Yeah, Paula Vaughans has so many beautiful quilts in her patterns, it's really hard to choose a favorite. So those were the two smaller like circle finishes. And here's what I'm gonna call like the medium sized. This one is called Heirlooms, and it's leaflet number 650. So it's a basket full of quilts and then a quilt next to it. I think this one was a professional framing job, judging from the back. And again, I think I found this one at the same time, so it must be the same person as that one. This is called Blue Ribbon Winner, leaflet 640. Yeah, and this one could stand to be opened up and repinned. You can tell it's kind of wrinkled. But it's really pretty though. All right, now I have some large ones. And for the first two, I filmed a separate little clip. So I'm gonna insert that here. Okay, so here, as you can see, we have the dueling Paula Vaughans. This pattern is called Friendship Quilts, Leisure Arts leaflet number 854. I found these two stitches separately, different stores, actually 2 different states. One I found in New York State, one I found in Pennsylvania. And yeah, maybe I'll go in a little closer. So you can see this is a giant pattern. And they're both beautiful. The colors in this one are a little darker, and I'm wondering if that's because maybe the other one was displayed in a sunny room or something, and the DMC might have gotten a little bit bleached over time, because the colors in this one are a little bit richer. This one was not professionally framed, and there is a little bit of evidence of like discoloration, maybe like a tiny bit of water damage down there, but it's still gorgeous. And I think they were stitched on the same count of Ada. This one is framed with a slightly larger margin around the outside, so I think it looks a little bit bigger, but I do believe that the Ada is the same count. I think it's a 14. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing the dueling Paula Vaughans. In my opinion, they're both equally gorgeous, and I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do with them, but I just wanted to share. Okay, so that was the one Paula Vaughn where I found two of the same design. And if you're curious, this is what the leaflet looks like. And now I have one final Paula Vaughn finish. This one's my favorite. The pattern is Good Neighbors. And honestly, I think I had showed this as a Save the Stitch a few months ago. I don't know, you might remember. I've shown so many at this point, it's hard to keep track, but I do think I showed this one. I love this one. It's gigantic. And yeah, one thing I will say is the initials are here. And when I found this one, I found it at the same time as this one. And the initials are also in this finish. So they were stitched by the same person. And yeah, you can definitely tell, I mean, the framing is professional, and it's like the same kind of style with the large mat and everything. So you can definitely tell, you know, it's the same person. So I feel very lucky to have those. This one I have just hanging up in the bedroom because I love looking at it. It's stunning. You know. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that little finish parade. The leaflet for the Good Neighbors looks like this, if you ever want to stitch that one. I don't think they're very hard to find. There's a lot of these patterns floating around out there. And while we're on the subject of Paula Vaughn, why don't I just go over what I'm probably gonna do for the start along. Hold 1 second. So I have been mulling over a few different options. Truth be told, I have an absolutely massive collection of Paula Vaughn leaflets because I had just gotten them as a big lot in an estate sale. It was like a giant folder, and many of them were duplicates. Like eventually I'm gonna have to like go through and figure out what I'm gonna do with all those. But I have a lot to choose from, and you know, I do want to participate. So here's the ones that I just pulled out as my favorites. So one of them is the Christmas one, Memories of Christmas. And I always love a Christmas pattern, so this one's beautiful, Gifts of Love. It's also giant. I don't think I'm going to do this one just because it's like huge. But this one is exceptionally pretty. So this one's on the smaller side, inspired by scripture. The reason I like this is because of that lamp. I really like antique lamps, and that one is like pink and white, so I really respond to that color palette. But this is like a contender. This one's a little strange. A Little Girl's Fancy. So it's a dollhouse. It's a couple of dolls that are kind of like staring straight out at you. In the background, there's a little girl. I am drawn to these dolls. I think they're really cute. They're a little weird, but they're cute. I don't think I would do the whole thing. I think I would just sort of pick out, you know, the parts that I wanted to do. But, and then the one that I'm thinking is the most serious contender for me to start in July is from this book, Quilts for All Seasons. So there's like a quilt for every month. And the one that I really like is November. So when I posted this to Instagram, this is the one that got the most votes. And it is beautiful, and I like autumn stitching, so I'm thinking this will probably be the one that I actually kit up and get started. I still have a couple weeks to decide, but I think that brings us to the end of my Paula Vaughans segment. I don't know if there's any interest in me doing a flip through of Paula Vaughans. I am willing to do that. I know that Cross Stitch the Globe just put one out, so I don't really know if like we need another one. She and I have a lot of the same patterns, but I did notice that like she has some I didn't have and I have some that she didn't have. So I don't know. If people want to see them, let me know. If not, that's okay. Like, I don't know how much I really need to sit there and go through like 75 Paula Vaughans leaflets, but if there is interest, because the sale is coming up, I am happy to do that. Now let me get into like plans / haul. I mentioned that Red Stitchery is doing the Marilyn Levit Emblem sale starting June 20th. I'm thinking of possibly joining. The options that I have, I actually have a lot of Marilyn Levit Emblem patterns. I have a full kit of this angel. This is the Angel of Dreams. Back when I first started cross stitching, you know, my first ever cross stitch finish was Lavender and Lace, the Celtic Christmas. So back then I had purchased this because I didn't really know like, oh, there's like tons of different designers out there, and I was kind of just thinking, oh, I might just want to do another Lavender and Lace after I'm finished with the Celtic Christmas. So I had purchased this like way back then. It's complete, it's just been sitting around, so it would be easy for me to start it. The one thing is that it's really big and I have a lot of big projects right now. But that's a beautiful angel. I think it would look really nice on a black Ada because it's like a lot of white. So that's one option. Another option is spring, Celtic Spring, because over a year ago I had found like somebody's start at a thrift store. And I measured the fabric to make sure that like it was big enough. And it is big enough. It's going to be tight, but like the measurements are not like too small. So this would just be like a very easy way to participate in the sale, is if I just decide I'm going to like put some stitches into this and try to, you know, fill out the dress. The stitching is really nice on it. You know, this was someone who knew what was up, and they even got a little bit of the beads started up at the top. So this is something I'm considering, is maybe just like hopping onto the sale and just turning this into like a whip. It will be easy enough for me to kit up DMCs from my stash. And then the last option is the Firefly Fairies, because I love this one. Want to start it for a while, but I don't have like a kit for this one like I do with the Angel. I would have to kit it myself, and it's big. And I have to figure out fabric, because this fabric is kind of like unusual. So anyway, I'm thinking about it, and we shall see. Another like sort of plan / haul thing that I'll show is I found like this. I found it thrifting. In the bag was a working copy of the chart and the floss. it's almost finished. I would just have to do like those 4 blocks and the border. And honestly, that border, I could just do that while I'm watching TV with Andrew. You know, it's just repetitive. So like, I found it came with the working copy of the chart, and then I was trying to figure out like, well, what is the chart? Like where did this come from? So I did an image search. I figured out that it's in this book, which I already had, Alphabets and Borders. You can see the full thing here. So I already have the book. This thing is almost done, and it's really cute. Oh, geez, I almost like knocked the phone over. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is super cute. I don't think there's a ton of backstitching. I mean, there's some, but I don't think it would be overwhelming. The stitching on this is beautiful. It's very even. So I am considering finishing that. And then I think the last little bit of haul, well, this was one I was considering starting for Mirabilia. I didn't end up starting it. I did kit the DMCs, so I could start it because the middle part here is where all the DMCs are, and then the bottom is like silk. So I would have to like buy those separately. But this is the Goddess Garden by Nora Corbett, Mirabilia. So now that I'm done with gathering eggs, you know, I feel like I have some leeway to start another one if I want. But yeah, I love this one. And the last little thing I'll show is I was thrifting, I found a shaker box. It's gorgeous. Like, it's a real one. You know, carved wood. It's lovely. And I've seen, you know, people where they do a circle finish and they put it on the top. I want to do that. And the patterns I have, I already had the Spring Angel by, what is it? Lone Elm Lane. Unfortunately, these are out of print. I don't think they're really that hard to find. I already had the Spring Angel, but then I realized that there was like a series of them, and I fell in love with the Snow Angel. Like, look at that Snow Angel like in the ground here. That is like the cutest thing ever. So I think if I do this on either like a 20 count Aida or a 40 count linen, it's gonna fit on the top of this. So Christmas in July is coming up, and I'm thinking of maybe kitting this and starting. All right, I think I have covered everything I wanted to cover. I filmed this in pieces, so I'm kind of afraid it's gotten really long, but I hope you found something to enjoy. And yeah, consider joining in the Paula Vaughn along. I would love to see, you know, posts on Instagram and stuff. I think her patterns are beautiful. So until the next time, happy stitching. Bye.